focus on this session, which is really sticking with the theme of our conference of transitions in a lot of ways. Transitions sometimes from high school into college, transitions from community college into four-year universities, and sometimes transitions from high school and community college right on into their careers. So there's so many different perspectives, and what we wanted to do with this particular session is to bring out the voice of the community colleges and a unique campus in Baja California, Mexico, Cetys University, with 3 campuses that operates both a high school and a college. So I think our panel members are well versed in this topic of transitions. So by way of introduction, I want to just quickly introduce you to our panel, and then I'll turn it over to our first speaker. The first lady I want to introduce is Ms. Tanya Hertz. Many years ago, I was a chairman of our management department in the Fowler College. And we needed someone to teach an entrepreneurship class, and somehow Tanya came across my radar screen, and she's been teaching with us ever since, and that's really been a pleasure. But Tanya has also now transitioned into setting up entrepreneurship programs and an entrepreneurship center at a community college. So more formally, Tanya Hertz is a lecturer in entrepreneurship at San Diego State University. She's a professor at San Diego Miramar College, the community college in our region. She's director of the Rec Innovation Lab, and she's an accomplished entrepreneur in her own right. So welcome, Tanya.
Thank you.
Our next panelist is Jennifer Patel. Now, Tanya recently introduced me to Jennifer, and we've gotten to know each other during the planning of this conference, and I hope we can do a lot more in the future. But Jennifer works with 10 business and entrepreneurship programs at the community colleges in San Diego and Imperial counties. She's a professor at Mira Costa College. She taught high school for 10 years before taking a position at the community colleges, and she engages in startups and businesses to help drive programs and keep them relevant. So welcome, Jennifer, and thank you for joining us. Our third panel member is a longtime friend of mine and a person I really enjoyed working with over the years and getting to know as part of my work with Cetys University. Dr. Francisco Velez is the Dean of the College of Business at Cetys University in Baja California, Mexico, since 2016. Dr. Velez teaches strategy, competitiveness, cross-cultural management, and leadership. Dr. Velez is a member of the American Council on Education, ACE. He's an ACE Fellow in connection with his work at Northern Arizona University. And he's also a member of the Microeconomics of Competitiveness Network of the Institute for Strategy and Competitiveness of the Harvard Business School. So, Francisco, Dr. Velez, thank you for joining us as well.
Thank you.
So the title for this session is Transitioning from High School and Community Colleges to Four-Year Universities or Alternative Other Career Paths. So I'm going to first turn it over to Tanya Hertz to guide us from here. Tanya, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm actually going to right off invite everybody to please, if you have any questions, put them in the chat feature. Alex will be monitoring that as we go. The presentation, we will keep it short, and we do have also some wonderful input from our students that we'll be sharing as well. And then at the end, we'll go through those chat questions. So now I'll go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Francisco Velez, who will talk to us a little bit about who will guide us through the some of the questions. So did you want to go ahead and take over there, Francisco?
Yes, thank you. I would like to ask, and good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I would like to ask the audience to log in to slido.com in your smartphone or in your laptop, slido.com, and it will prompt you with a password. The password is SDSU, and it will ask you a question. And the question is actually quite simple. You will see now. The question that
so could you spell slido.com?
Yes, it's S as in Sandra,
Yeah.
LID as in dot, .com, Slido, or Slido.
Okay.
And you will see the first question in your smartphone. Where are you from? With one word, please.
So enter code. What is the code?
SDSU.
Oh, that's an easy one.
Name your state. But if you are outside the US, name the country.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to give a few seconds. We have 15 answers.
A lot from California.
California prompts more. It's,
wow, we have to use this tool in other capacities. This is great.
Yes, actually, we are teaching you how to use it because there is a second question. We're going to wait until the 25th.
Okay.
But as you can see, Saudi Arabia, Houston, Redlands, South Dakota, Scotland, Indonesia, Florida, Massachusetts,
Wow.
Egypt, etc.
I'd say we move from here. It seems to be stalled at, well, it's 24.
24, okay. Yes. So the next question, please, very quick. With one word, but only one, how would you describe a successful student in the 21st century?
One word, huh? Wow.
We're about to stop at around 20, 23. All right. Mostly innovative and entrepreneurial and curious. Okay, let's lock the survey. And then I would kindly ask you to answer just as two questions very quickly. You will see prompted in your smartphone, 2 questions is multiple choice. And we have 14 responses, that's great. You're not seeing the results because the results are gonna be showed afterwards.
Okay, with that, I will actually pass it on to Jennifer, who will tell us a little bit about working with the community colleges.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Jennifer Patel, and like Alex said, I work for the California Community Colleges. I'm hosted at MiraCosta College, but I represent all 10 business and entrepreneurship programs in our region. So I have the honor of being able to work with startups and small businesses and working with them to bring back their knowledge to our programs to make sure that our programs are relevant and that we're teaching what we're supposed to be and making those connections for the faculty. So because I work with 10 programs, today we're going to highlight one, and that one is the one that Tanya Hertz is the faculty member for at the Regional Entrepreneurship Center. So this is the first of its kind in our region. This is the first semester and the first cohort. And so she'll tell you a little bit about that, and then she will introduce one of our students, Michelle, whose company was who's going through this first cohort. So Tanya, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Jennifer. I'll tell you just a little bit about myself first. And I know that Alex had said that I've been at SDSU for about 10 years teaching entrepreneurship. And it's only been about 2 years that I've actually been over at Miramar College developing the entrepreneurship program there. So when I came from university to Miramar College, there was no entrepreneurship program there. And I was tasked with really creating the pathways for developing pathways between high school, our community college, and eventually university and career for the students. And we've done that a number of different ways. We've really had 3 main focuses. And the first focus has been through the Regional Entrepreneurship Center, the Rec Innovation Lab. We created a hands-on experiential incubator, if you will, to help the students to get the skills that they needed to then carry with them along their way. And we realized, though, very, very soon that we needed to have strong partnerships with many different people, all different players in the ecosystem. I had that unique perspective being from university back to community college. And I'm actually a transfer student myself. I transferred from community college. And so I had a unique perspective, but we still needed to make sure that we were addressing the needs of all of our stakeholders. So we forged partnerships with high schools, with high schools in the public high schools, private high schools, also with some of the specialty high schools like High Tech High, the School of Entrepreneurship and Technology. Then from there, we're also offering classes at the high school. And one of the things that I can say about developing these pathways is it's really, really important to have those relationships with all of the different cohorts and really deeply into each of the different segments of the ecosystem. So then beyond the high school, also the relationships with the universities. So with SDSU, with USD, with the incubators at the universities, with some of the industry and business and entrepreneurs and private incubators. We also developed relationships with organizations like the Thai Young Entrepreneurs. So many different people in this ecosystem. If you know anything about San Diego and entrepreneurship, we have a very robust entrepreneurial ecosystem here in San Diego, and it's just getting better from there. So once we had those partnerships and the relationships, the task was to ensure that students were moving from one step to the next. But the thing about entrepreneurship, it's not like some of the other disciplines. I think almost pipeline is maybe not the right word for entrepreneurs. Pathway makes sense, but it looks more like a web often than it does a pipeline, because it is not a direct high school to community college to university to industry. We found that there are many different needs of the different students. And it's so important to have an individualized, student-centered approach and multiple paths for the students to access where they want to be, to become entrepreneurs. So we found that often we had high school students who were taking classes at the same time as the college students. We found that students would come back from from either the university or much later after they graduated. We see that a large portion of the community college students are actually older students. About 15% of our students are over the age of 40. So we had a lot of non-traditional students. And that was one of the main lessons that we took away when we were looking at the pathways for entrepreneurship is there are many different types of entrepreneurs and a lot of different paths that they take to entrepreneurship. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to introduce you to one of, well, I'll introduce you first overview of all of the students that we have here with us today, talking about their non-traditional paths that they took to becoming entrepreneurs. And these stories are wonderful, right? This is why we do what we do. We love helping the students and seeing the students grow and succeed. And this is my favorite part, right? So I'll first tell you a little bit about Michelle. Michelle's going to be talking to us first, and she's going to be sharing her journey in entrepreneurship and the way that she's come back into the community college system. Ryan Vancher was actually my student at SDSU first, although he was a transfer student from community college. And now he has a very successful company that he founded through at SDSU. And then it's only been 4 or 5 years, and his company's valued at over $25 million. Juan Carlos Minguia is going to share with us his story of success in entrepreneurship and his non-traditional path that he took and the successes that he's had through our sister university down in Baja California through Cetys. But first, I'll let them talk themselves. I'll have Michelle share her story. And Michelle, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle, and I'm here on behalf of the Commons XR, and that's a rec-based startup that was started, as you can see from our team photo, by 4 entrepreneurs who are very untraditionally starting our journey as co-founders after over 100 years of combined industry experience. We won't talk about exactly how many years. As a little bit of background, TCXR is building a new educational system that's designed to create, conduct, and administer classes in VR, to work on all VR headsets, and to enable educators to see in real time how well their students are participating, to identify at-risk students, and to securely maintain student data. We're really thankful to Tanya for giving us this opportunity to talk about our unconventional journey that led us to the REC. For the past 18 months, we've been meeting around a kitchen table to shepherd our startup from when it was just an idea to currently we have a working demo. And in order for us to get to the next level in our progress, we needed access to a space where we could test out our development ideas that we couldn't do from just our computers and from our homes. We also really knew we needed the support of interns in order to allow us to continue our product development. And for both of these reasons, having something like the REC, a space that we could work from, have interns work from, an environment that was really friendly to a pre-commercial startup, a true angel or C-type support, if you will, was absolutely essential. As a startup founder for a VR platform product, it's an expensive proposition to get everything that we need to develop. And one of the reasons why we don't have all the hardware we need is because we have to evaluate the ROI on every purchase we make at this stage. And this is where having the REC makes a huge difference for us. By having a shared space with shared equipment that's geared for VR development, no single startup has to bear the full cost of making all those purchases, but everyone has the opportunity to maximize on their product development through the REC's shared resources. As a woman and a female entrepreneur, I'm very cognizant and aware of the gaps that discourage women from being entrepreneurs or even joining a startup. And I wanted us to have access to the best talent pool available, not just the folks who feel comfortable showing up alone to a man's house to be interviewed, hired, and to work from. And without the REC today, we'd still be frankly sitting around that same kitchen table. Until a startup gets to the point where they're actually commercial and self-sufficient, they're basically children that constantly need resources to survive. And just like children, it takes a village. The REC is part of our village. And if we succeed, it will be because of places like the REC and people like Tanya, who believed in us and our mission when it was way too early to tell where we were going to end up. We are so grateful to Tanya for giving us the REC And we also want to give a shout out to Jennifer Patel, who actually introduced us to Tanya in the first place. And we hope to see more like-minded folks sending at more places like the REC to support entrepreneurs from wherever you are. Thank you so much for your support. And if you'd like to find out more information about the Commons XR and the education platform that we're building, please feel free to contact me afterwards. Thank you. Thank you, Tanya.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks so much for sharing about your company. And now I'd like to introduce Ryan Vancher, who's going to share a little bit about his journey in entrepreneurship and the help that he's done coming back to the REC as a mentor, advisor, and really a critical industry support for helping us to be successful. Are we still there, Ryan?
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Hi guys, my name is Ryan Vancher. I'm one of the co-founders of CourseKey and currently the VP of Client Success. CourseKey is an enterprise level education technology that makes schools' online classes feel a little bit more like they're in person. So we use time-based attendance, auto-graded assessments, engagement tools in our platform so that schools that currently are switching to synchronous online learning with the COVID-19 issue are able to do that quick, fast, and easy. My kind of feedback here is I wanted to kind of talk about what are the results of some of these incubators and putting an entrepreneurial ecosystem together. The first thing I kind of noticed in my journey was I think there's an entrepreneur in all of us, but it has to be developed. So I'm what you would call a very non-traditional entrepreneur. I had a daughter when I was 16 in high school. I joined the Army at 17 and a half right after that so that I can support her. And I was a truck driver when I was in the military, and I thought I would be a truck driver when I got out. I wanted to go back to school, so I'm a first-generation college student. So I started with community college just for cost reasons and so that I can actually kind of learn how to learn. But what I noticed between the community colleges in the 4 years was there was a huge gap in the resources that I saw in those two environments. And so I've always had this perception growing up that there's certain types of people who will start a company and there's certain types of people who will work for that company. And the difference is whether you had money or not. And when I got to SDSU, when I found the Zip Launchpad program and all the resources that they provided for students to go and actually take a shot at building a real business while you're in a good place to fail, you know, if you wanted to call it that. I ended up realizing it didn't take $500,000 to start a business. It just took a lot of hard work, you know, a lot of consistent learning and the ability to run through walls sometimes. But it wasn't really until I got into, for example, Tanya's first entrepreneurship class, that I really even understand what that word meant. And so I didn't have the experience of growing up knowing I was going to start a business. You know, I didn't even think it was possible. And then once I found the center, I connected with other students and our vision started to form. We ended up starting to make quick progress because a blueprint was provided for us to help shorten our learning curve. The other huge thing about these programs or these centers is I don't believe entrepreneurship is something you can strictly learn through academics. I mean, there's a lot of theory and textbooks about it, but our experience of having the combination of the learning knowledge, you know, going into a marketing class and then going right to the incubator and applying it through activity really helped reinforce what we were learning and helped us understand, you know, you never know what matters in a class. I heard a lot of times in accounting, you know, students like, when am I ever going to learn, EBIT or how to balance my accounting equation. And nobody really thought that was valuable until you go start a business. And so it makes you approach classes differently because you're seeking out information that you find valuable versus just checking boxes on a prescribed plan so that you can get a paper degree at the end of your learning term. And so being able to go out and, you know, go to a class and then or go to the center, you know, work on our company and maybe go through a process intuitively and then show up to a class and find out what it means or what it's called or what the terms are. You also have these aha moments from, hey, I did that already. It's kind of cool to know what that is called. And so that tandem of going to class and going out and testing it, and then as a leader of the company, having to teach that back to the people who work for us, it really does help reinforce learning, and you take much more away in the same amount of time I think other students might just trying to pass the class. And then the other thing is, you know, students only have a small window of opportunity as student entrepreneurs where there is a center or a hub of activity that helps us create the environment we needed for collaboration or what we used to call the free to fail zone. And so not only do you get, you know, mentorship and resources and expertise, you also get the appearance of credibility. I mean, we were a couple students, you know, trying to run a business from the garage in a frat house. You know, imagine us trying to call people out to have legitimate business conversations in the garage of a frat. Rather than that, we were able to go to the conference rooms inside the center. We had, you know, the appearance that we were, you know, a real credible company. And so it also gave us sort of this confidence boost to know that we had resources and experts behind us when we had questions or ran into problems. And I think the biggest thing of the centers that I saw in my time with them, and why I'm most passionate about it, is they're like a melting pot for talent. There's a lot of students with different superpowers, and they'll never run into each other while they're at school. You know, business majors run with business majors, computer science students go with computer science, you know, journalism goes with journalism, but there's not a lot of places that break down the silos of those different disciplines, and where you can meet different students with different backgrounds and different powers that allow you to come together and fill gaps to create a company early on, as long as everybody's willing to work for it. And so, you know, if you take those kind of benefits of, you know, knowing that students need to be nurtured to become entrepreneurs, understanding the opportunities from learning and activity knowledge during that process, and then creating the place for students to find each other and fail without, you know, fear, that can produce some pretty powerful things out of that ecosystem. And so CourseKey and myself as a co-founder, and the guys and girls that we started our company with, one of the outputs of that was just student growth, right? We started as a handful of students working, you know, it was a 180-day program that we signed up for. And that's turned into, as Tanya mentioned, you know, a multi-million-dollar business with 30 plus employees doing business all across the country, helping schools, you know, students cross the finish line. And we've raised over $5 million to date. And so that was done within the last 5 years. And that's not, making you guys feel impressed about us as students, but probably more so impressed about the resources and the support and the learning curve that we were able to, you know, accelerate by tapping into everybody and all the ecosystem that was available. I think personal legacy for me was another huge output, right? I was a first generation college student, and by doing that, I've had 2 brothers and sisters go back and get their degrees. I've also had a brother and a sister start a business, for themselves, a small business. And so not only does it allow people like me who never thought it was possible, make it possible, but it changes the dynamics of my family, the people who will come after me, because we are people who graduate college now, and we are people who start businesses and create jobs and opportunities. And then professional legacy. I think my biggest, reward personally is being able to go back with Tanya at the 2-year level and try to recreate what I found at the 4-year. Because if you would have given me the same opportunity at the 2-year, I don't know that I would ever have made it to 4-year. I might have found my calling doing a business back then, but I think that opportunity to go from learning to activity knowledge, whether you're at a 2-year college and have those resources, or lucky enough to make it to a 4-year, I think that opportunity should be available for all students to explore and nurture, their entrepreneurial side. And that's why I like to go and do, mentoring new student teams and helping Tanya figure out what is the best way to create value for the students and help them, achieve their goals as quickly as possible. Because when students go through these kind of programs, they get 10 times the same amount of value at that campus and for that tuition than any other student who just went through there to graduate and is trying to just go get a job. That there's nothing against going and getting jobs, but you never know. Again, I thought I was going to be a truck driver. That's all, I had ever seen before in my family. And now, I'm changing the way that people think about what they can do, not only in my family, but with the students that we work with now. And so we really do encourage you guys to get involved with these programs, find ways to create an environment for students to thrive and fail at the same time. And you never know what can come out of it. CourseKey is just one example, but there's a lot of other success stories that are just waiting to happen.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Thank you. You've made such a big difference in so many people's lives, and I appreciate it. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. So now I'd like to pass it on to Francisco to talk a little bit about his program, and take it away.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'd like to start by saying that all institutions need to be focused on who they are. That's their mission and what they want to achieve, what kind of impact they are expected to have in the world. That's their vision. And the connection, the bridge between the vision and the mission of the institution is the strategy. Strategy moves the institution forward towards the future, bringing to practice its educational model. In the particular case of Cetys, as you'll see now in the following slide, you can see the evolution of in the specific domain of entrepreneurship. Founded in the early 60s by business entrepreneurs, Cetys is a private non-for-profit institution in Mexico. It took a while, well into the 80s and 90s, to have clearly articulated efforts to introduce entrepreneurship, mostly seen back then as an elective new thing. At the turn of the century, focus shifted towards promoting business creation and having most programs equipped with entrepreneurial-oriented curricula. Consequently, educationally speaking, it became entrepreneurship by design. By the year 2010, our current president, Dr. Fernando León, proposed the creation of centers of excellence in charge of deploying entrepreneurship across the institution. The centers of excellence activated business incubators, a number of links with relevant partners such as Babson, San Diego State, and other universities, companies such as Santander, and professional and academic associations such as ICSB and USASB. Looking into the future, the centers of excellence are in charge of research, industry linkage, and business promotion and creation. But I would like to warn you that in order to be effective, as you can see in the following slide, in order to be effective in your strategy, the right organizational structure needs to be in place. The right incentives, the right programs, the right systems, especially when you have a complex institution. In our case, 3 campus, Mexicali, Tijuana, and Ensenada here in Baja, right next to Southern California, 3 colleges, engineering, business, and social sciences, plus a high school, which, by the way, provides students to our undergraduate programs. And also we have 3 centers of excellence, one in entrepreneurship and competitiveness, another one in innovation and design, and the third one in human and social development. To be effective, we need to understand and apply interdisciplinary collaboration. In the next slide, and the final one, it is with the essential contribution of our centers of excellence that entrepreneurship is promoted at our institution. I could name a number of programs, events, actions, simulations, speech competition, boot camps. We have many of them. But in this occasion, I would like to mention 2 examples of the things we're doing. One is a Santander Innovation Prize, which is external to Cetys, but we partner with Santander to offer our students opportunities that promote startups. Last year, students from our engineering and in renewable energy program won the Santander Prize nationally. They are creating a company to introduce a new system they developed in which water from the shower gets into the, to be recirculated into the toilet, potentially saving millions of gallons of water that would otherwise be wasted. The other example is a grant donated by a leading business family to create a special fund named Francisco Gallego Monge. With this fund, every year a prize is awarded to a student or alumni that has a business project or a startup. This is the case of our last year recipient, Juan Carlos Munguia, who is today with us and will share his experience. Thank you very much. And I will now pass it on to Juan Carlos for his comments.
Thanks, Francisco, for that introduction. So let me introduce myself to everybody. My name is Juan Carlos Munguia Castañeda. I'm an aeronautical engineer and also I'm an aerospace. I have a master's on aerospace design, actually from Cetys University, with their master program on innovation and entrepreneurship. And also I'm a passionate entrepreneur. So I'm also co-founder of the company M Aerospace RTC, which is a startup that focuses on generating the next generation of flight to mankind. So basically, we have a company that develops new ways about how the aviation will look on the next years using additive technology. I have been honored to participate on several additive manufacturing conferences worldwide, including some competitions like the V2B pitch competition at San Diego State University, and also presenting around Germany, US, London, China, and even in Holland, talking about additive technology. Thanks to the collaboration with Cetys University and their Center of Competitiveness, we have been able to achieve all of these things. Especially this January, we were selected as a revolutionizing startup by Forbes on the cohort program at Abu Dhabi. And this definitely was thanks to the collaboration that we have with Cetys University, as we are currently working together since we started all this project on developing how was the business plan, because to be honest, I'm just an aeronautical engineer, and basically all my knowledge was about engineering stuff, but now I have no idea about how to create a business plan, how to even scale up, and not even start the company. So thanks to the collaboration that we have been together with Cetys University, we have been able to incubate the company inside their new center of competence called CEIT, which is the Center of Innovation and Design in Cetys University Campus Mexicali. And also together with Cetys, we have been able to participate on several programs, as well as the INADEM program, which is a global national program. And also we have been working together with Cetys University on a special curriculum to develop new programs for their master's degree, which actually last year we together with Cetys, we developed a new course on their master's programs called Additive Manufacture for Innovation and Design for Production. Together with Cetys, we have been also work in projects like CONACYT, and even right now we have been also honored to participate on the TREPCAM program, as well as the new program from Santander, which is called the Santander Ponte the Green, which is a new program from Santander, which we are creating thanks to the additive manufacturing knowledge that we have. We're creating replacement filter masks to be able to defeat this COVID disease that is worldwide. So all of this has been able, again, with the collaboration of the university. I mean, I start as an engineer, then I start my path as an entrepreneurship, and now even I am a teacher here at Cetys University. So I encourage every entrepreneurship that is listening out there to make your idea happen. I mean, the aerospace industry is worldwide, and I mean, everybody here in the panel has something, their idea, which I think that every idea can happen. It's just a matter of time if you want to make it happen or not. So feel free to ask me if you have any other questions regarding entrepreneurship or even innovation or even design. And thanks a lot for your time. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Juan Carlos. I didn't mean to move forward there, but I will make sure that we share our contact information with everybody in the audience. This is the email addresses of everyone that you've seen here speak today. We're also, afterwards, several of us will be going into a breakout room. So if there are any questions that you have after the fact, you're welcome to come in and ask us one-on-one. But now I'd like Francisco to maybe share with us a couple of the answers to the questions from earlier.
Just very quickly, I will share the answers to the final question, which is this one. Please rate the effectiveness of transfer programs at your institution when it comes to promoting entrepreneurship potential to students. Most of you answered don't know, 29%. Then 19% said high, but then there is other people who say medium, low, or very low. That means there is opportunity to learn from this, and that's what we are doing right now. All right, thank you.
Thanks very much. So I would like to, now we have some questions from the audience, and I think I'll go ahead and pose those to all of you here in the panel. So we have a question from Andy from Indonesia, who says to all the panelists and to the attendees, so if you're in the audience and like to answer as well, what difference do you see in American higher education to implement these education ecosystems between things like the Business Incubator and the Center of Excellence in Entrepreneurship down in Cetys? Are they separate? Are they the same? What differences and similarities do you see?
I think there's a lot of similarity between the programs. However, I think that the ones at the community college we're trying to set students up for success, whether it is to leave and start their own business or if it's to transfer on. And I think that a lot of times the universities will say how impressed they are with our students that come from the community colleges and transfer into their programs because of that base knowledge that they learn like in our entrepreneurship programs.
You know, I could really speak to that as well because we run a very specialty program at the Lavin Entrepreneurship Center, and many of the students that come into that program are transfer students, mostly from the community colleges, and they're the ones that come in hungry. They're the ones that come in and are really driven to try to make something because it's different for them. There seems to be a sense of urgency about it, and you know, and I have incredible opportunities to spend time with the people at Cetys University on all three of the campuses, and I find that same level of commitment. And Juan, your talk was just fabulous in terms of what you've been able to achieve in a very short time. You know, and what I see as a similarity. I mean, Ryan, you're coming back and working to help build an entrepreneurship center at the community college level, and Juan, you're now back teaching in that environment. So that to me is really, really exciting. So Tanya, if you want to take it for more questions.
Great. So thank you. So we do have a couple more questions. I see, well, there's a question for me that's asking about it, but I'll pose this to all of us. How do you deal with entrepreneurship courses, training, incubators, when you have students from different age groups with different experience levels? And I know for me that is definitely been a challenge. It's been a very salient challenge, as Ryan can attest. We have some students who right now they have companies that they've been running for the last 25 years, and they're coming back and they want to start a startup through the incubator. And then we have other people who just graduated high school. And so it is challenging. It goes back to being able to offer individualized attention to each of the students and to really meet them where they are. And that said, without getting too into the weeds, also, you know, grouping the students in, you know, in groups that make sense. And Ryan has been coaching some of these individually. Do you have anything to add there, Ryan, with the students from the different levels that we've been working with?
Yeah, from a mentoring standpoint, I think it's good to have, well, so some of the teams I've talked to, you know, they're just trying to figure out their logo and their brand and how to make it look like they're a business. And so there's a different approach to, you know, sort of saying, okay, what are the quickest paths to success we can make to build your confidence and also make progress? Other teams I've seen, you know, particularly one of the Lavin students in Alex's program came and he had a full-blown pitch deck. He has, you know, big strategies, big vision. And I told him, honestly, I need to learn more from you if I'm going to help you, because you're so far ahead of where I was when I was talking to mentors sitting in your seat. So my approach is really, and I think you had touched on, you know, an individualized approach, and sometimes tracks or, you know, something like cohorts, depending upon how advanced their business is or not, is something I've seen at the Zip Launchpad, where they sort of have, you know, your idea track, your launch track, and things like that to kind of separate the advance, you know, or the progress that some students might make versus others. And then that allows you to build models around those tracks so that you can have a coaching program that's more generic and step by step to get people started, and then one that's more, I would say, adjustable or agile to meet the students where their skill level is, and try to help them move forward.
Right, and plus the cohort model, the nice thing about that too is that you do get that bonding between the teams, and sometimes the best learning that takes place is the learning between teams when they think of each other as collaborators instead of competitors. And I love James here called it just in time. Just in time founders. I love it. That's great. That's great. So I see there's a few more questions, entrepreneurs. Okay, so for entrepreneurs, how would you transfer your experience to new students and show them that they have to have clear goals as well as an ambition to achieve, to generate high impact new ventures? So how do you transfer your experience to new students?
Yeah, well, I think that that's an interesting question, especially because when you have several people from different skills, and even here at Cetys, we have the faculty from administration, the engineering staff. So I think that the best thing is to put together a team, because at the end, if you want to manage a company, you have to be able to manage different skills and different talent. But obviously, always keep in mind what is your goal. I mean, and that I think that is the core business, even if it's a social project or if it's an R&D project. So you have to have clear which will be the goal of the project, and keep in mind like which can contribute to the team, and I think that that's the best experience from all of us that we can share, the experience and to have a clear goal in mind.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else want to jump in and say any other?
Yeah, I tend to focus less. I mean, if you're a little more advanced and passionate, I'll get very high level business strategy and stuff. But most of the people that I come with, what I try to transfer is the need to have a why, and sort of some of the soft skills that you're never going to get from a textbook. So, understanding, what failure really is, and, trying to give them, a lot of like the tried and true, kind of stories, like don't start a business with your friend. Like at Korsky, we've literally done everything wrong that you can possibly do. And so I try to be very transparent with that so that they don't have to go through maybe some of those hurdles that would, deter an entrepreneur from going forward because they think it's too hard. But if you proactively tell them it's coming, get ready for it, and somebody told you the storm's coming well in advance, you have a chance to prepare for it. And so I focus a lot on mindset, soft skills, company culture, especially for some of these earlier stage companies who are looking to bring on help, but they're not necessarily sure, whether it's worth it or whether they should. So I like to make sure that their mindset is right, make sure that they're passionate enough, and that they truly understand how hard it's going to be to do exactly what they're trying to do, and not at a point to where I scare them away. But I as a part of our company culture, we believe in radical truthfulness and radical transparency, and I think that's a huge part of entrepreneurship, because if you're not able to self-assess, and that's sort of the big thing, is I make them understand, like, who are you really and what are your skill sets, so that you understand what your business is lacking and can start to go out and find that. So I kind of break it down to the bottom levels and make sure that they're approaching it, from a strong why, but also understand and expect that it's not as glamorous or as, maybe glitzy as most people think the title entrepreneurship is. It's really long days, long nights, a lot of obstacles, a lot of problem solving. And so I focus on prepping them for that.
Okay, if I could interject at this point, we are out of time at this session. For those of you that want to engage with this panel, we thought that we'd be able to keep this session going for that kind of engagement, but the way to engage with the panel, other than contacting them through the Whova app, is if you have questions related to this session, upload those questions at any time in the session Q&A, not through Zoom, but through the app Q&A. And then our panelists can go and after the fact and respond to that Q&A if they're able to do so. But I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you. What a special surprise for you to bring 3 students here as part of this discussion. And I think we have very important work to do going forward. And we're so lucky to be living in San Diego on the border where we can easily cross and learn from each other in truly a multicultural environment. So panelists, thank you so much for your time today.